Hello, 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 hello. We welcome you to the Black Butterfly Podcast, being it 2023. This is the new year, so we're wonderful. Thanking you guys for tuning in with us. I am Amaru. That's my co-host.
Hi, I'm Candace. I'm the co-host. Welcome to the Cocoon Room.
And we have a special guest with us tonight. She is from our area, which is Gary, Indiana. She is also a work alum. She's been in the tax game for 20 years, owns her business. She's a tax expert, and she is family to us. And so I want to pronounce her name correctly because I want her to beat me up. Tori Purnell Britton. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So we would like to transition because we're a little late, right? So we have some housekeeping difficulties. So we don't want to keep wasting anyone's time. But before we get started, do any of you ladies have any opening comments, opening remarks?
Well, I do. I would just like to say happy birthday again to my mom. Her birthday is January 6th, and to tell her happy birthday and that I appreciate her. And then again to Tawaria, thanks for coming on. I have had the pleasure of knowing you for a very long time. I think since elementary school, right?
Yes, we used to play in a sandbox together for sure.
Right. So I'm happy to see your success, and thank you so much for coming on and talking to our listeners and our viewers tonight.
Yes, absolutely.
And did you have any opening remarks, Toria?
No opening remarks.
Okay, cool. So with that said, we would like to move to our what we do scripture. Oh no, scripture. We'll do scripture today. So it's been so long since we've done this, right? I forgot the protocol, right?
Amaru, it was you who wanted to take off for the holidays.
Yes, I had to unwind because I had a lot of stuff going on. So the holidays treated me very well. So I'm fresh and I got a lot of energy, right? So but with that said, the scripture of the day, and I'll leave it to Candace. There you go.
All right, guys. So Elastics 3:1-8. For everything there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven, a time to be born, a time to I'll let you guys look that up, a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to heal and a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to cry and a time to laugh and a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to turn away, a time to search and a time to stop searching and a time to throw things away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to quit and a time to quiet and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace.
And so, what does that mean to you?
So I picked this scripture because we are beginning a new year. We have left 2022 behind, and we have entered into 2023. So for a lot of us, with me just watching, social media, talking to family and friends, a lot of us have learned that we had to get rid of the old before we can transition into the new. So it's a part of growth, a part of growth and a part of development. And so that's why I chose that scripture, because it's so important that we let things that's old go, right? We release those things so that God gives us the opportunity to be refreshed and to plant seeds in us of new. So it's about pruning. And we know that if there's a plant, you have a plant in your house, some people have a green thumb, they plant or they plant outside. In order for things to grow, we have to cut off the dead. And so essentially that's why I chose that scripture. And I just want you guys to just go into your new year, 2023, with positivity. If there is someone in your circle, whether it is family or friends, you have to let them go. If they're not pouring into your cup, but they can continue to deplete you, you have to let them go in order for new things to be birthed. And so that is why I chose that scripture.
And in the spirit of that verse, going into the new year, right? So we are in 2023, and so that is why I love having this guest on, because she is a tax expert, and so I would like to for her to talk her talk because this is her area, and introduce herself. And the one of the questions I do have for you first before we get started: what made you want to be in this tax field?
I've always been great with numbers. I've always gotten excellent grades in school in mathematics. And so it was a natural direction for me to go into. It was also by chance because I wanted to strictly go into accounting when I was in college. And I took a course one summer during college. And I took a tax preparation class and I really enjoyed it. I was very good at it. I caught on to things very quickly and was doing senior level taxes, my first year. And from there, I just gravitated to continuing to stay in the industry every year and branching off in 2016 with my own firm.
And so your firm has been open since 2016, and so we share a lot of your content too. But I would like others to know that she does. You do appointments virtual. You obviously, obviously do face to face. And then one of the cool things that because I like to give a nugget. So when I started doing taxes, I spoke to her, and this is how I got into my path of doing taxes. First thing she said, "So why are you not doing taxes? It's easy money." And then she walked me through getting the pen and understanding certain things and different softwares and stuff. And so you are a guru. Like you don't know how powerful you are. And so you got me on my path, basically. And so I thank you a lot for your insight, your knowledge, and the things that you do. But with that said, she also gives loans. And can you talk about that?
Yes. So basically, it's called an easy advance. It's an advancement of a portion of your tax return. It is backed by the government. It's also backed by the particular bank. I have actually worked with a few banks. This year, I have three banks that I work with in order to make sure the taxpayer gets their max advance. Especially with the way the economy is going, it's really been a blessing for people this year. It has been so many people that took advantage of it just in these last 5 days, with tax season not even officially starting from the IRS, but with it coming, and it's really an awesome thing. And we offer them from $500 up to $9,500, and you can also adjust it and only get 1,000. You don't have to get the full amount.
But that's awesome because you are your own entity. And so I want people to understand how difficult that is for you to be able. Your business has to be first one A plus credit, right? To have a relationship with the Federal Reserve for you allowed to provide loans like that. And so you're basically your own tax business, right? And so like an H&R Block per se or a TurboTax or whatever, right? But
Oh
you
yes, absolutely. During my time working for those type of firms, I quickly advanced, but I was paying attention, and so I was able to know how to efficiently run the entire office just from different positions and being offered my own place. And also, before I went on my own, I was actually offered my own business, my own franchise with the company I was with.
okay, cool. So that just confirming that you doing your thing. And
Yes,
so
after they offered it to me for free. They were like, "We're gonna waive the franchise fees for 2 years. You don't have to pay anything up front, but you have to do what's best for you."
yep. And so that's what I say you dope. You're a dope. Um,
So I have a
go ahead.
question.
Go ahead.
I have a question for you, Toria. What was because we always have our moment of awakening. What was the moment of awakening for you to decide that I really want to branch out? I really want my own firm. I don't have any fear, or I may have some fear, but this is what I really want to do.
Well, I did have fear, which is why it took me 15 years to get to that point. But the breaking point was when my boss came over to me and was like, "Tori, look at these numbers. Look at the income you brought into us." And to see it in black and white, and to see that on my own I had brought that company 585,000 just that year. And so I was like, Yeah, I need to put my fear aside.
I would say so. So that's interesting. I know oftentimes when people begin to start businesses, they have a lot of fear, or they have fear that they won't have people who support them. So I'm glad that you looked and see if I can make this for another company, I can do it on my own. So
And
good.
so,
Absolutely.
and I love that story because, with I think that's with our generation too. We quickly figure out if I'm making you over $500,000, I could be making me over $500,000.
Correct. I'm like, even if I just get like 20, 25% of that, that's still, a good start.
Yes, absolutely. And so, kudos to you. And we get some comments in. So yes, Happy New Year. One of the comments from Kenny. He said don't remember. You must be real quiet. I said I don't know. Tori was kind of quiet.
No, Kenny, you must have been in the wrong area because Toria was never quiet.
So he probably just didn't know you. I know Tori very well. Shout out to Ken. Don't check it in. Miss Krista, what's up? What's up? What's up? Checking in.
Krista said hi, Toria. You remember my sister.
Yes. Hi.
And
Hi,
Ayana,
Kristen.
I don't want to pronounce Ayana. I think that's pronounced her name. Ayana Crawford. She's a fan, and so I told her we was going to be on tonight, and so she wanted to know how she could check in, and so I'm glad she got access to that. So yes, go Tori, Rory. I'm sorry, I keep calling you Tori. My first, so I would like to transition to some tax questions or some tax information that you would think that would be important to some of our listeners, and I'll just give you the floor.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm gonna speak on the most common missed tax credits. And basically, a tax credit is. I'm gonna get to that question in a moment.
Shout out,
Um,
Cuz Vaughn. Shout out. Go ahead.
Basically, a tax credit is the refundable part. That's the money part that everyone looks for during the tax year for their refund. And the most missing tax credits for businesses is going to be the employee retention credit. It was a credit that was established in 2019 for businesses. Now, this is a substantial credit that people are missing. The credit is up there. It's upwards of $100,000 credits that people are missing. I have some people from back home that I've assisted with their employer retention credits, and they've gotten checks, from the IRS for 118,000, and it's a credit. It's literally cash. It's nothing that you put into it. It's just basically having a business, and then and you have W-2 clients. So that's the common miss one with businesses. As far as for personal taxes, um, they have what's called a residential energy credit.
Hmm.
It's also refundable. And so if you're buying energy efficient appliances, if you're getting solar, if you're getting a new roof that's energy efficient, if you're getting installation that's energy efficient, most of the things and upgrades people do for their home is to make it a smart home, to make it energy efficient. And so this credit is commonly missed for people who are homeowners and those who manage homes, such as if you have your parents' home, a family home, and different things like that. Another misconception, the education credit, that's also a credit that is not only for yourself, but it's also if you have children that are in school that you provide for that are in college, that's also a refundable credit, that will in return get you a higher refund and a return. And also, it's another credit, the household employee. It's more of a deduction, but it's also a credit because it makes a portion of the income not taxable. So in return, if it's not taxed, that's money that they're not taking from you. So I consider that, a benefit as well, although it is considered, a deduction. And the last one is going to be the other dependent credit. And so that's, a lot of people are taking care of family members and they're also taking care of friends and different things like that. And they don't qualify for earned income credit for those particular friends or family member. The other dependent credit will give you $500 credit, refundable credit for any body that falls into that category, which is like, as you can see, like when you're filing a tax return, there's nowhere to put a cousin, there's nowhere
Right.
to put a friend or even a girlfriend. And so then they would fall under the other dependent credit. And I didn't touch on earned income credit because everyone knows about that.
Yeah.
What that one
Okay.
is.
So we got a
So you
question.
said, is there
Oh,
like a age limit for like cousin, girlfriend,
It's not
grandkid?
it,
You know?
it's not an age limit.
Okay.
and then so we got the question here from Kavan. What are the major changes in taxes this year? 'Cause we were prepping for this, and you were mentioning this before. So go ahead.
Yes, it's a lot of major changes, Lon. They were doing it to where in 2020 taxes and 2021, you could say you didn't work because of COVID at all. So you had zero income. You could actually use your 2019 income on 2001 tax return and 2021 tax return. And so now if you made, I'm gonna say 30,000, now you made, it looks as if you made 30,000 for each of those years, although you had zero income. And so people were still able to get the earned income credit, child tax credit, any other credits that they're qualified for. And so they have reduced the child tax credit bond. They have reduced, they have taken away the look back credit. And so you're no longer able to look back to 2019 to produce income for the current year. They've taken back of course, there's no stimulus. So they took back the rebate recovery, and you can no longer file that unless you're doing prior year returns. And they also took back the self-employment credit, or people call it the COVID credit, which is the form 7202. And that's which is how people were getting back $15,000, $20,000 on returns last year. That was due to that form 7202, which is the COVID credit. And basically it was like if you didn't work, if you missed income, not just for not taking care of yourself or a family member or a friend, then you could get that money. So people are complaining right now because they took back those things, but really all it did was went back to 2019.
Yeah.
They didn't reduce anything that was already there. Everything was inflated so everybody could be able to eat during that difficult time that we all experienced as a whole, in the country. So those are the main things that change.
Okay. Cool. Um, Candace, do you have anything? Because we got questions up here. So go ahead.
I actually do. Okay, so we talked about personal and we talked about business. I know some questions that I keep hearing because I'm a business owner myself. Some of my friends have businesses. They want to know how to, if they have a business, how would they go about if they're starting to build business credit? How would they file their, purchase homes and cars under their LLC if they're establishing the business line of credit?
Okay, well, the first thing you're going to want to do is people need to start filing all of their business income.
Okay.
Um, that's one thing. Even this is personal. As far as people are coming to me and they're like, "Well, I'm trying to buy a house," or they'll call me and they're like, "I'm trying to buy a house. I can't buy it because it says I only have $20,000 worth of income." Well, they are expensing their income down too low, and it's not producing a income. So say they made 100,000 in their business, they're expensing it too far out, and it's not showing proper on those documents. And so people just need to really claim all their income. I know it's kind of taboo because people don't want to claim all their income. They get cash and other methods that they don't want because they already know cash you're going to owe, especially if you don't have dependents or if you may have a higher AGI and different things like that. And they also, once they get their taxes in order, and start reporting everything, then they would need to go ahead and to the Duns and Brads and get them a number. Of course, the EIN number is the first thing. They also need to have their business banking account as well. And they also need to make sure that they have entity paperwork because not only, an entity protects you. So say, you know, you make an error on something, or of somebody's, they could, or you get a loan and you back it with your personal credit, which is the wrong thing to do. Say your business doesn't make it. Now they're seizing your home, they're seizing your property, they're seizing your bank account. But LLC or S corp is on the business strictly. So you can get all those loans and the business makes it or is struggling, doesn't make it or is struggling, they only can come for the business's assets or anything in the business name. So it's best to separate that, especially when you're going to get loans and cars and different assets. It's best to just pull yourself off of it. So getting that business set up properly, that's the first step.
Okay, so thanks for the information. So myself, I have a Don's number, but some people don't really know what a Don's number is. So when they register their business under the LLC or under corporation or S corp, they just register it. So they don't know what a Don's number is. And I know a lot of times people don't even know what a Sam's number is. And so I know those things are used to help establish business credit. So for those of the people who don't know, could you just elaborate a little bit about what that is?
Okay, basically it's the credit bureau for a business. And so, for us, it's the Experian, Equifax, TransUnion. For us personal, the individual. For business, is going to be the Sam's, it's going to be the Dun and Brads. They look on there and you have a score on there. And a quick way to get a score when you're just starting out is go to the companies that offer like mail, or like Quill is one.
Yep.
You do a 30-day net. Amazon have a 30-day net for businesses, and they report directly to Duns. And then from there, if and with the net, it's just you buy what you need, and then you pay it off within 30 days. And so then it's reporting that good credit for your business over there, because that's what people look like. If you go get a car, or if you go get anything, want a loan or anything, they look at that Duns number. And so it's just like a different reporting agency, but for businesses.
And so what about, so for me, I have a business credit card. So some people really don't know how to do it and they don't know what business credit card is best. Would you suggest anyone's?
I would say the Shell Fuel or the Chevron, and also Office Depot or Office Max or even Staples. Those are really good for starting out. That was actually like my first one. Those are really good there because all they're going to ask you to send in is just your paperwork. And remember, you're set up properly, so all you got to do is just send that over, and from there, that really builds it up quick. So getting a Quill and going through the process of like an Office Depot or a Staples, even if your business doesn't use those type of things, just go and buy school supplies or whatever you need to do to make an order and do the net. And then that way it builds that credit.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Good information. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we have a question from Kenny. He said, how much stock investment losses can you write off?
Okay. Now a lot have changed with stock investments. It's going to be two forms that you need to go into when you're doing your taxes, or your CPA or whoever is doing your taxes. You're going to want to go into the Schedule A and start to work on that in order to balance everything out. And also, as far as like with stock investments, another tidbit of information, you kind of want to give your kids some assets in that department, and that helps as well.
Cool. And then he has one more question. What are the business expenses that can be deducted, and what is the limits?
Well, as far as business expenses, there really isn't any limit. I'm going to go back to what I was saying. The problem people get into is they deduct too much. And especially, like I was saying before, especially if they're have a goal to purchase their home, which is a good idea, especially with the cost of rent is ridiculous. Um, so it's best to, try not to expense it all out. I'm gonna just say it like that without giving away too much. Don't expense it all out.
And then Vaughn want to say his thank you for answering his question earlier.
You're
Um,
welcome.
and so, like, I think this is great information. One of the questions I do have is, what are some of the mistakes that people make when, so, like, let's say um, I'm walking into your office, right? You're preparing my personal taxes. What are some of the common mistakes people make when you're preparing their refund for them?
Commonly people think that they shouldn't file all their children on their taxes. It is certain credits that are a limitation, but it's also, credits such as the additional child tax credit and child tax credit that don't have any limitations. So you can put all six of them on there, if that's what you have. And so that's a common mistake. A common mistake also is people that are taking care of aging parents. They're not utilizing that Schedule A, which is the itemized deduction form, to get those deductions and that they're qualified for, and credits that they're qualified for those expensive with caring for a parent. Another thing, people are in school, or children are in school, they aren't getting that credit for that. And the most misconcepted one is when your child turns 18, you can no longer file them. That is a misconception. That's a myth. That's a ghost. That's not true.
That's
I was going to ask, and that was going to be my next question, because I remember when I spoke to you and I started working at this place, it's called ATC Tax. And
I remember
so,
that.
uh, what we got a lot of times were parents who had kids in school, but they thought they couldn't file them, right? And so I had to explain to them, like, no, even though if you are, taking care of a lot of their expenses, and I had to explain that to them, yes, you can file them. And so it was weird. So, but go ahead, because you're the expert. So I'm gonna let you go ahead. So can you talk about that, please?
Yeah, so for years people leave those kids off. I had one client and she was like, whew, if I could just still claim my 19-year-old, that college stuff eat me up. And I'm like, okay, why aren't you? Like, what's going on? Oh, I thought they stop at 18. And I'm like, wow, and so I try to educate people about that, because as long as they're in college, you can go ahead and claim them, and it's other things that you'll be able to do as well. But you're taking care of them. The economy is bad, so even if they are working while they're there, it's not enough. And
Mhm.
so you need to get everything that you qualify for, everything that's out there. And it's okay to get help. It's okay to get a consultation, locally or with someone, a trusted firm. It's okay to get help. Because everything, especially as you get older, you have 401k, you have investments, you have expenses on your home, you have electric cars. It's so many deductions and credits off of those things alone. And it's a lot of things that you just can't input in a computer and it will lie, like a magic show. It doesn't work like that. And so it's okay to get help, just a consultation just to see. And also, I forgot one credit, which is the electric car credit. Everybody's buying electric cars, Teslas. My son works for Tesla. Everybody's doing that. And so it is a awesome and great idea to get some help, because it's definitely a credit on there for that.
Hmm. I got a question. So, and I know me and Candace spoke about this. So, um, you see a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but you see a lot of stuff on social media about putting cars in your business name, right? And so I don't know if you're familiar with that, but if you are, can you give us some insight on how that works? because I have a person who I consult, and we were talking about this, and so she was throwing back at me that it needed to be a lease instead of a actual uh, buy to own, right? And
That's
so
not true.
so can you yeah, yeah so can you talk about that?
Okay, this is me personally. So I ended up getting my business all set up, and I went to a local car lot. It was Subaru. I went to them, and I told them I wanted to get a car in my business name. This was the owner. He said, "Well, I've never done it." He said, "But I know I can, and this would be a good opportunity for me to have that experience." And so I provided him with my EIN number, my LLC, my business banking information, and then from there, he went and he ran the business credit, and he pulled financing from different lenders, and it was approved. It's a very easy process. But remember, you have to build that DUNS
Hmm.
up to where it needs to be to get a good credit score, and then once they pull that, you're good to go.
So I'll just share a little bit about my story real quickly with the Dance number. So by so I thought about my business name in like 2018. I had the idea for my business. 2019, I registered, my business, and stuff like that. But I actually opened my office in 2022, and because when you establish business, I went to try to register for my DONS number, and I'm like, oh gosh, it's already in there. So my DONS number had been establishing business credit for like 2 years, and I don't even remember registering for it. But when I probably did all of my paperwork, I probably say, let me go ahead and just do it. So shocking. I was like, oh gosh, I got great business credit. They'd already had established how much I was, how much income the business was making. So it was pretty easy, and I wowed myself. So I think like when you said like people need to make sure that they set their business up the correct way, it does make a difference. So like when I went to register for a business credit card, it was very easy for me to get it because the stuff had already been like occurring and different things like that. So it is correct if you establish it right. It's easy to get those things. I know me and Amaru talked about actually starting to do the process of, because we've already registered our business for the podcast. We have our business account. And so what we need to do now is to make sure we have our EIN number to make sure that we actually get our business credit card for this business. And we were deciding on which business card to get. And I know we've been getting lots of offers, but I know one of them was American Express. So I talked to him about that, and he's like, yeah, I'm okay with that. So we have to see it what that looks like.
Yes. Go for it.
Question. I have a question. So let's say you have a married couple, right? They come in, and they, they're married, but they're separated, right? And they have two kids, and they're splitting up the two kids. How would the husband has two kids, so they have 4 kids total. How would the husband file versus the wife?
Well, the thing about the married couple is the IRS doesn't recognize separation, so to speak. And so the way it's established is if you guys live together on December 31st of the prior tax season. So it's established by really residency. If he lived over there and you lived over here, it's established by that. And when you establish it that way, then you're able to file single or head of household. Now, the problem comes in at is when a married person goes and files married filing separately. If I'm your wife and I file married filing separately, you as my husband now have to go and file married filing separately as well,
Mm-hmm.
because they ask for the social for that. A lot of spouses do it out of spite, actually.
Mm-hmm.
They pick that out of spite,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that they get 0 credits and knowing that she will get 0 credits as well.
Oh,
And
wow.
so they do that purposely. And it's really nothing you can do about it. And even if you tell them, I can get you $12,000 back, if you go convince her to file this way, they won't do it because they're vindictive. So I get that a lot. They don't, money,
That is horrible.
yes, money will not even make them file the way that they
They're
will take
supposed
that
to.
credit out of spite. Anybody that gets that credit is really out of spite, really.
Oh wow.
That's why, because I know.
Yeah,
So
because
that's
they could still file together.
right.
Like naturally, they could still file married filing jointly and still split it up. You get 12,000 back, he gets 6, you get 6. But no, they'd rather, be vindictive. So that one's crazy. I get that all the time. It's insane.
But that's why I asked, because
That's terrible.
when I
It's
worked at
horrible.
this little place, it was like you get all type of like this situation, and I'm gonna let you do your thing. So let's say me and my baby mother, right, my child's mother, right, we got 3 kids together, right. She files all 3, but I didn't know she filed all 3, right. And so when we running stuff through the system, I don't get a tax refund because she didn't notify me that she filed all 3, right. And so how would you go about coordinating that situation?
Whew. You get that all the time too. I'm telling you, y'all wouldn't believe it. It's like I know you into therapy and psychology, Ken. This is like a therapist's office in there. I don't have no training with it. It's insane. And so at the bottom line, they have to mail it in. Okay, so you can still file. So if the person is in the wrong, they have to mail it in. Just have the birth certificates, the social, have your lease, the divorce decree, the separation agreement, the mediation paperwork, whatever it is that you have, even a notarized letter, whatever it is you have, make sure you have that with contact information for them to be able to figure out what's going on. And that's when you would want to, and also with the IRS, the key to doing a mail-in or sending in paperwork is to send it certified. When you mail a regular letter, they throw it in a box, and it could be a million boxes, and they're gonna get to it eventually. But a certified has to sign for it, and so it's processed immediately. So the key to the IRS is send anything you need to them certified.
I had a comment from Tiffany.
Yes, they ask for so much, and they still will pay you. Yep, that's my sister, and she's absolutely right. Yes, they definitely do. Even without collecting it from that person, they will still, if you got all your documentation, they will definitely pay you out as well if even if they've already paid that person out. Now they're gonna send a letter to that person, and they're gonna have to show burden of proof as well. And if they can't produce it, then they're gonna owe.
Okay. So I do know from a court standpoint, because I worked in the court system, that people do it all the time when they are fighting over kids and different things like that, or child support, right? The dad files on the odd years, mom files on the even years, but nobody ever follows that. They get mad, and whoever beats the person to the tax preparer is the one who gets the money. And it can be a lot of legal stuff happening, but it's a lot. It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
And she said it happened to her 2 years in a row.
Yeah, because they come in with court papers like I'm a lawyer. I'm like, hey. We wasn't supposed to file them. I'm like, oh, I'm
now,
just a tax professional.
Question: now, when you do your virtual appointments, is it I'm sure it's the same process as your face-to-face, correct?
It is. It's the same process. I do have a secure email as well as a secure portal where they will send in their information. Some people prefer a Zoom meeting. Some prefer a phone call. If it's a returning client, they just want a simple phone call, and that's it. Somebody I'm just meeting, they do want to, make it formal, and we do a Zoom meeting to try to get familiar with each other.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Now, go ahead.
A question for business owners. So some people pay their taxes yearly, quarterly, or twice a month. What would you say is the rule of thumb for someone who has a business and who is making maybe over 6 figures? Like, how would you suggest that they pay their taxes?
I would say estimated payments, definitely quarterly. They do need to make those estimated payments, and they can be more than quarterly, but they definitely need to make. So if they made 30,000 this month, they definitely need to put that tax aside and send it on in. It's best to do it like that because we as people, we rather make payments on something, so to speak, And so it's like you're making payments beforehand. And so when it's time to file, you may have a credit, because you paid in too much, which is a good thing. You get that back, or you owe very low.
Another question I have, I just have to say it, for our melanated people, um, we have learned so much misinformation that it's hard to correct the behavior. So when I heard you speak about that they file, they when they pay their taxes, or when they file their taxes, they don't pay all into it. They file back, right? So they put anything that they paid for, they want all of those deductions, and it doesn't show really how much that they made. So say they made maybe $600,000, and they only filed maybe 300,000, but they're wanting to purchase a home that's a $500,000. They won't be able to get the home because they're not showing a profit in the business. So do you see that that has been a problem with our melanated people over the years?
Absolutely. It's a huge problem, and it's happening more often because everybody is ready to buy from age 20 on up. Everybody is ready to buy because the price of rent is ridiculous. So it's kind of pushing people, into that uncomfortable space to like be like, hey, if I'm gonna pay this, even if my mortgage is that much, it's mine. And so, people aren't filing that income. So the mortgage company, the loan officer has no way to trace that income, and a tax return is 1,000% accurate as far as tracing that income. And so if they go and pull your tax records from 19, they go 2 or 3 years back, 19, 20, 21. If they go and pull that stuff, and then they don't even look at those deductions. They look at the income.
Mm-hmm.
And so you made 100, but you expensed it out. So now you made 25, and you can't afford this. You have you got too many liabilities, because if your business loses 75,000 off 100,000 income, you can't afford this house. You know what I'm saying? You can't.
Mm-hmm.
That's too many liabilities, and so it doesn't work. And with us, we want more money in our pocket, and you got to make those sacrifices when you're trying to have an ultimate goal.
So that's why it was so important to myself and also to Amaru to like have this show, because oftentimes we are misled and we're misguided. We are in a space where everything is about like, look at me. You understand? Everything is about clout and look at me, but they don't really understand that clothes and purses and cars and shoes and rims, all of that stuff, it gets old, but like to have some assets is really more important. So I wanted them to actually learn from you, like, okay, if you're really making 600,000, pay the taxes on it. So when you go out and you want to buy rental properties, or you want a commercial property, or you want to create generational wealth for your family, and you file your taxes, or you go and try to buy a house, they can say, oh, okay, they have established business credit, they have their personal credit intact. This is how much they've been making for the last 4 or 5 years. They can actually afford this home, or they can afford a loan to buy a commercial property or whatever it is. So we just have to be more diligent about making sure that we are doing things properly.
Correct. From the business setup, like we were speaking about, to the taxes properly, yeah, it's just important to have that setup in place. It's a lot of people that have businesses, storefronts, and their paperwork is not together. And so as a result of their paperwork not together, they're missing out on the ERC, which is over $100,000 for 20 and 21. There and it's retroactive, which means that you have until 2024 to file for the ERC. So, but they don't have anything in order. You get what I'm saying? It's the paperwork that's missing. Like, even with the EIDL, the SBA loans, they were missing paperwork. Everybody missing paperwork, and it's basic paperwork. If you go on LegalZoom, if you don't want to do it, it's basic paperwork, and they don't have it. And so they're missing out on opportunities, to get, like, the ERC is free money, the SBA was what, 3%, 1% loans. They're missing out on things like that, and those were upwards of six figures as well. Like, they were missing out on things just because they wouldn't go get a free EIN number. They wouldn't spend a few $100s on the LLC. There's different states vary. Indiana, I think, is the cheapest. as far as the LLC, which is why I'm incorporated in Indiana. For
What I
sure.
do want to say, Tori, is I am so appreciative to you because I know myself personally when I started to build my brand and build my business, people that look like us, it was a struggle to actually get them on board. Even if you said you would pay them a consultant fee, our people have been so brainwashed to think that if I help this person, then there won't be enough food at the table for me. So for you to come on the show and actually share all of this information with people and give it out and not charge them a price is awesome because oftentimes people won't do that. And you talked about the Don's number, the Sam's number, how to get the net, how to get the quail, how to get Amazon. Oftentimes people don't want to give that information because we have been so trained not to want to help each other because we don't want to see each other do well. Like it's a problem if I build my house next door to your house.
Correct. And then they're throwing it in what's called ebooks and business coaches and different things.
Check it out. But I got a question. So I'm gonna give you a situation. Let's say I didn't file my taxes for 2 years, right? I don't want to file the next 2 years. I'll file it. So if I want to file in 2025, well, let me backtrack. I didn't file in 2019. Let me file in 2022. What would that process look like? Because I know a lot of people who pick and choose when they want to file their taxes.
Well, the amazing thing is a few years ago, maybe 2 years ago, the IRS implemented to where you can amend your taxes and e-file them. So therefore, you no longer have to mail it in and it takes 6 months and years. So you can literally amend your tax return and e-file it as well. And so that's just going to be the simplest process. And you got to remember, you only have 3 years to go back for credits. And so if they're filing, coming on that 4th year, they can file, just to have it on file. Mm-hmm. But they're not going to receive any of those credits. They say the IRS sits on billions of dollars a year because people are not going to get what's owed to them, and it's forfeited after a few years. So every year, billions of dollars goes unclaimed that way because people won't go get their money. People don't want the government in their business. I mean, you live here. This is government land, so they already in your business. So
they're in your business when you walk around with that smartphone.
Right.
Exactly. That's the one right there.
Really?
Access to your email, your personal conversations, like all of
everything. And there's a camera on there. They're in your business. So
can you give insight to the PPP loans? Because I still don't know what that was.
I was just getting ready to ask.
Like I had so many people ask me, but I didn't have time to sit and research it. This was, when it was popping off, and then I see all these celebrities going to jail because they got 50,000, and I'm like, I want some. And then I know some people who actually got some, but then it was something that happened where, I know some people who got the loan, and then they had to show they was paying employees, and so they didn't have to pay the loan back. Versus someone who got the loan and didn't have any employees and then had to pay the money back. So can you talk about that?
And who went to jail? I just want to know that.
Who didn't go to jail?
Yeah, who didn't go to jail behind that?
Yeah, it was really ridiculous. What it was, the celebrity was taking advantage of it on a larger scale. Mm-hmm. And white collar people were taking care of it on a larger scale of fraud. You know what I'm saying? As far as they were. Okay, when the PPP first started, the very first year of the pandemic, the PPP loan was not capped. Mm-hmm. That's why people were like, well, it's only 20,000. How'd they get going to jail for 50 million? Well, it was uncapped.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So these people are taking old companies that's been on ice for years, and they were getting their accountant or their wife who's financially savvy to do all these paperwork, and it was no credit check. You didn't have to provide, the LLC, none of that. All you had to provide was, a business bank account and a Schedule C. That's it. And it's so shady to the point where somebody contacted me and said they was using a bunch of CPNs to get PPP loans. And so, hold on. Now we all know the SBA EIDL, that's on your credit.
Yep.
As far as, well, maybe not physically on there, but it's backed by your credit, Social Security Administration. And so there's no way for you to use a fake social for that. You get what I'm saying? But the PPP loan was not regulated enough to where people were using PPP loans. I mean, using CPN, and I didn't even notice until like a year or two later. Somebody I know told me that. I said, she was like, yeah, I use my CPN number to get my PPP. I was like, it wasn't regulated. No credit check. And you could call yourself freaking Sam Smith and Mary Smith and anybody else with a date of birth. And you know how you can get a fake ID from Dallas, from Big T's or somewhere. And
what is Big T's?
They was getting PPP loans with fraudulent people that didn't even exist. But it's the government's fault because it's okay with no credit check, but you still need to verify the social, just like you for some jobs, or even when you, Candace, you know, when you purchase a house, they tell you to fill out this form. We're gonna verify your social with the Social Security Administration, and so that's all they had to do was send a free form to the Social Security Administration to verify these socials, and they did not.
So I do have a question. So here in Indiana, which I know that's where you're originally from, there was a lot of hair businesses, like people who sold hair and lashes, people who had boutiques who like sold clothes and daycares or home health, you know, facilities or houses or whatever they did, home health care, literally was open for maybe 6 months and then they crashed. They went out of business. They got those PPP loans and then they went out of business. And so I was wondering, what does that look like? You know, was the loan forgiven? Do they have to pay it back? Or was it them just saying they had these businesses in order to get that money?
Well, if it's proven, because see what happened, people probably didn't pay attention, but the statute of limitations for government fraud is 3 years. It was. Okay. And so this past year, the SBA asked Biden to up the statute of limitations for PPP and SBA EIDL fraud. They upped it to 10 years. So over the next, we got 7 more years on that. Over the next 7 years, you're going to see more people indicted for fraud dealing with that because they upped the statute of limitation because it was too many people, millions of people getting it. You can't go through millions of people in 3 years to audit them. You get what I'm saying? They need 10 years to go through all of that, and they got it. They approved it.
So even if they dissolve the business, if they can't show that they were actually employees or that the business was actually legitimate, they will be in trouble.
They will. If they're investigated, then yes, they will be in trouble. It's okay that your business didn't make it. That's perfectly okay because a lot of businesses didn't make it. Corporations didn't make it, you know, and so that's perfectly fine. And they understand that. They understand like probably 40 to 50% of the businesses are not going to make it or didn't, you know. But the problem is at that time when you applied it, you know, it was BS because like one guy, he used like shell companies, so like. He used like companies that he just had. You know how sometimes we start a business, we get all our paperwork, but then we decide not to move forward with it. And so he was using businesses like that he started at some point in his lifetime, but never started. You get what I'm saying? Like got the paperwork in order, like an EIN number, or maybe even an LLC, you know, or whatever, and went from there.
Okay. One last thing. I know they did the loan forgiveness for people who had those PPP loans. If they did loan forgiveness, do they have to show that the money that they got for their business, do they file it on their business taxes, even if the loan was forgiven?
No. Now they don't have to file it on their taxes. As of yet, it's no requirement for them to do that. So they're in the safe. The whole thing is people can still get it forgiven. The thing is you have to go through the SBA website to do it. So if you feel like you're past that and they're asking for a payment, then you need to go through the SBA website to pay on your PPP, because when your SBA account or your pay.gov account, it will show your PPP loans and your SBA loans on there. They're all listed on there separately, so you can go in there and pay them that way as well. And so, but you can still go in there, you know, and get them forgiven. Now, one tidbit of information for anybody that got the SBA EIDL loan. I got one. I ended up getting two actually. And so right now they're doing it to where for the next 6 months you can pay $25 a month. And so you don't have to pay, your full payment. So people might want to look into that as well. Because those payments can be pretty high, especially since they was giving us 5 and 6 figures on those loans. So so for the next 6 months you can pay $25 a month.
Okay. So your phone lines might blow up after this. The people who got PPP loans or people who just have like tax questions and things like that. Let them know that your price is your price, because I'm all about that. Like, here it's free information. So we're grateful that you came on. But once they start to call and ask questions, that turns into consulting fees and things like that. But again, they might start calling you, asking those questions. Maybe people are calling you about the LLC filing, as far as like purchasing homes, purchasing cars, or just about general tax questions. So I'm sure. And then you could be our business of the month.
That she is.
Awesome. Thank you. I am so thankful for this opportunity. Thank you guys so much. Because I like to share knowledge. And I don't like to charge for that, And so this was a perfect, platform for me to be able to share that.
Okay, before we get to our business of the month, we want to do the word of the day real quick. And you can stay because we got a couple more minutes here.
I love you. I love that you came on and shared all that great information.
Yes, and so that's what I'm saying. Like, if people have more questions, you can inbox her, you can inbox us, when we'll give you the questions. Absolutely. And because I'm pretty sure what end up tends to happen a lot of times is people will revisit our show, and then they'll have questions, and so they'll be like, "Hey, you should have that person back on," and so that would tend to happen all the times too. And so that's what I'm saying. We are very appreciative for having you, because this, it's funny. I can grab my books right now, my CPA books. I just did tax. And so that's why I was asking those questions, because those are some of the questions on the CPA exam. So that's why
you need a tutor. I charge for that now.
But see, Joe, you answered them to a T. So that's why I was asking them. So you probably like, how the hell did he know? Like, so that I'm what they call a good softball. So you knocked it out the park, right? So that's cool.
So, Warrior in Eugene. Guys, we grew up in Etna, right? We have someone who owns their own accounting firm. I own my own therapy agency. Amaru is a CPA, and he's getting ready to be a developer. Like, look at that. Etna did something for us. Gary did something for us.
It absolutely did. I wouldn't change a thing.
They really say if you can grow up and make it out of Gary, you can make it anywhere. And I believe that.
I believe that too. Absolutely. And see, but to think about it, it goes great with our word of the day. Growth.
Yes. So I chose growth as the word of the day. I'm going to let him say his word in Swahili.
Now, I didn't get a chance to pronunciate it, so if I mess it up, please don't kill me. Ukuahi. I hope that's how. I didn't get a chance to hear it, so I think it's Ukuahi.
Okay.
But go ahead.
I love that. So growth, the act or process or a manner of growing, development, gradual, it's a gradual process. And so the reason that I chose growth, it goes with the Bible scripture that I chose. It's a season for everything, right? And so we are continuously growing, and we outgrow people. We outgrow relationships, and that is okay. We have to quit thinking that it's something wrong with us when we decide to switch who we hang around or who we let continue to hang around us. Because sometimes when you hang around people who are not meant for you and you don't prune them out of your life, you sit in a spot where you're not growing and you're not developing. And so in 2023, everyone, make sure that you continue to grow. It doesn't matter how old you are in life. We should always continue to grow. We should always continue to learn, and we should always continue to develop. So that's our word of the day.
Dope comments. Yes, you can, from Sis and Mr. Johnson, Mr. EJ. What's up, brother? And so, absolutely, we're going to move towards our Black Entrepreneur Day, which is you, right? So that just go hand in hand. So you sent us a picture, but I don't think we need the picture, because you look great, right? Your picture, you know what I mean? So I want to cover your face up, right? But we're gonna show your business here, and I'll have you talk about your services and your IG. I'll share some of the information, but go ahead.
Yes, at Apple Exec Financial Firm, we offer tax preparation for businesses, estates. We also offer tax planning. We also have a notary on site. We also offer accounting services as well as bookkeeping services to keep your records in order. And also be on the lookout. I started an employment agency, so um, that's coming. I've test drove my months for 8 months. I helped 22 people get employed. So I'm offering some some employment services as well. Because the thing about it is people have credentials, they have experience, but they do not know how to get a job. And so a good one, a career. And so that's coming by the end of this year.
And so we are happy for all your successes, all the things that you're doing. I shared some of your information, your phone number. Let me put that back up there for people that missed that, with your email information, some of the things that you provide. Yes, she is accessible to all 50 states, y'all. That's including Hawaii, right? So people up top, right? We want to make sure we get that plug. And then she's also on IG and Facebook by the same tagline as her business. And also, I mentioned before, you do have appointments. You do business. I mean, your appointments are in person or virtual. Before we get out, because this is Candy's segment, right? So you can probably participate in this because you guys like the fashion, all that stuff, right?
That's right.
So here's the shoe game. Let me grab some of these pictures right here. And so I'm not gonna say anything. I just let y'all do y'all thing. But how would you rate the shoes and the boots and all that stuff?
All right, so guys, here are some cowboy boots. Yes, I love cowboy boots. I actually picked them up in Nashville, Tennessee a couple of days ago. We went and took my mother to Nashville to celebrate her birthday. And so these boots comes from the Boot Barn in Nashville, Tennessee. So if you're looking for them, you can Google them. I'm sure you can order them and they will send them to you. All right. And that is the bag that I am carrying. That is actually from Tiffany's. It's from Tiffany's.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, it's from Tiffany & Co. So if you like purses, you can pick one up at Tiffany's. It was a birthday gift a couple of years ago. I actually didn't even know that Tiffany's carried bags because we always get jewelry from there. But yes, Tiffany carries purses and wallets and different things like that. So that is the eye candy for the week.
I'm gonna make me buy my wife another bag. So
I'm gonna get on their website now. I didn't know they had bags either.
Yeah, so I got it. Yeah, I think I got the bracelet. Wherever I got the bracelet in the purse, and I was like, oh, I didn't even know Tiffany's carried that, but it was a gift for my birthday. Yeah. But I love cowboy boots. I got an array of boots. So I grabbed those a couple days ago.
Now, how you wearing cowboy boots, but you from Edna? I'm just
listen. I love.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I love fashion.
I just kind of got confused for a minute. Do you got spurs on the back of the boot? I'm just saying, like,
no, but don't test me. If I need to get on a horse, I'll put some spurs on them. It's fashion. I wear cowboy boots, cowgirl boots, I should say. That's probably like my.
So, do you root for the Cowboys because you got the cowboy boots?
No, Siobhan, no shade. Siobhan's not on here tonight, but no shade against Siobhan. I don't root for the Cowboys. Indiana, I root for the Colts, even though I haven't seen the game in forever. But go Colts.
And here's some just comments in response to this. Saying, thanking you for your knowledge, dope discussion. Glad I was able to listen. Strong work. Yes, as always. Love that. She's just gonna rep you. That's we love that. That's Kenny. Of course, he talking about you required. No, we don't know that, but he probably was on the other side of the building. So
he was, because I don't know him. So definitely don't.
So I know I need that bag. And of course, it's fashion, sir. So I knew it was fashion, but I'm just at the poke fun.
You gotta get your wife some cowboy boots, some cowgirl boots, I should say.
Well, she gonna need some snow boots in a minute because when it starts snowing, I don't think we're gonna be wearing no cowboys in Wisconsin. I'm just gonna keep it 100.
So I did go to Wisconsin. We had a event. So I went for my birthday. It was so cold. You think Gary is Chicago cold? No,
I mean,
ma'am. Wisconsin is a different cold.
Wow.
so before we close out, I like to ask you, ladies, do you have any shout outs?
Tori, since you're a guest, I'll let you go first.
I wanted to shout out my beautiful daughter, Ayani Crawford. She is my office administrator. She is my assistant. She manages my entire life from my house to my business. I couldn't do everything without her.
Dope, dope, dope.
Well, congratulations. It's always good to have a great assistant. I'm telling you, they make the difference in how your scheduling goes.
Yes.
How about yourself, Candace?
All right, so I would just like to shout out my family and my friends. 2022 was kind of rough. A lot of great things happened in 2022, but a lot of sad things happened also. So I definitely would say it takes a support team and a system to actually make sure that you stay grounded. And so I'm just really grateful and thankful to them. I'm also grateful and thankful to all of our guests who actually come on and speak and share the information with our listeners because it means a lot to us. So thank you, friends and family. Thank you again to Tawaria for coming on today and also to Amaru because I keep saying it's important who you align yourself with. And I'm telling you, last year I was in rooms that I've been trying to get in for years. And so last year was it was just a breakthrough year for me. So I accomplished a whole lot. I accomplished more in 12 months than I have been trying to accomplish in the last 7 years. Not with my education, because I'm always going to be able to do that, but just some rooms and some connections that I was trying to make. I was able to make them last year. So, guys, ladies and guys, make sure that you align yourself with the correct people so that you get to get in those places where you've been trying to get into for a very long time.
Love you, brother Dollar Bill. Got me over here tearing up. Um, I would say my shout out would be obviously to our guest, to my co-host, and like you said, 2023 is going to be great. Um, Shout out to just Black women, period, because you guys are dope. I would always stand for you guys. I would always have your back because I've loved that the spaces that you're in, right? Especially with you, Tori. You from Little Gary, Indiana, you all the way in Texas doing your thing. You know what I'm saying? So like that gives me hope because it's like even though people try to box us in, like, oh, you're just from some like what they call murder capital of the world, but there's a lot of substance there, right? And there's a lot of substance with Candace herself, right? You're in Indianapolis and your roots are sprouting, right? We
Yes.
have a lot of people from Gary who don't have to advocate for themselves a lot, but they're doing a lot of dope things behind the scenes. And so my shout out is also to our people from Gary. Just keep continuing to be great, showing people that we are awesome, and that would help with some of the bad thoughts that people have about us. But it's also a good transition because our next podcast is January 29th, and we will have a special guest. So her name is Katisha Tony. She's also from Gary. She's a Word alum, and she is the president and CEO of Coats Incorporated, which is a nonprofit organization based in Gary. Well, they always try to code Gary with NWI, Northwest Indiana, but it's Gary, right? Provide educational equity to underserved students and families through creative, collaborative, and innovative approaches. Based, in other words, she's coming up with creative approaches to help students back home. And so she was heavily requested by a couple of our classmates, and so it was great reaching out to her to get her to come on. She's a very busy woman, but it's also good to let people know what type of work she's doing back home. And so, with that being said, I think we got one more comment here. Oh, he just said, I appreciate what we're doing. Yes. And this is why this platform was started to push and push that narrative about how people look at our people, right? Because there's always a negative connotation to it. It's like, no, there's a lot of dope people from Gary doing a lot of dope things. We just don't advertise them enough. And so that's why this platform was created to push people like yourself, right? Toria, right? Who do the things that you're doing. And again, I'm gonna keep saying this: if you're giving loans through taxes, that means you have access to the Federal Reserve. Do you know how difficult that is? and you're a black woman doing this. So kudos to you. Kudos to you. We proud of you. Uh,
Thank you.
with that being said, we are peacing out.
One more thing,
Good,
last
good.
thing, I forgot. I know Amara will put it on our page, but I just want to kind of update you guys. We are pulling to have Juneteenth in
Oh
Gary.
yes.
Black Butterfly will be having Juneteenth in Gary. We're looking for some partnerships. So if you want to grab a table, grab a booth, let us know. Inbox us. We have our Cash App out so that you know how much you can contribute for your booth. To worry, I know you're not local, but if you have friends and family that is still in Garrett and they want to set up a booth for you so that you can do your advertisement since you're in all 50 states, please make sure that you get in contact with us so we can kind of set you up. And then also people who we've shouted out your business, if your business is not, you have the business but it's not correct on paper, please get with us and to Warrior so that we can make sure that you get everything that is coming to you, because you have more buying power if you are correct on paper. So make sure that you give us a shout out and we'll make sure that we get you taken care of.
And quickly, I apologize because I didn't expound on that. So yes, Juneteenth. Um, we are gearing up for the planning. We already start. We already getting donations in, which is
Yes, we
crazy,
did.
right?
Shout him out. He was our first donation.
Julio, Eduardo Gates, love you, brother. Very resourceful. What I love about him, he said, "Brothers, more coming." So I love that, right? But
Thank
again, it's about changing narratives about our city, right? And so we have to show. Like I get really frustrated when I see people, and no shade to anybody, like if you're doing something revolutionary, I love it. But I think like we got to build from the ground up, right? And so no answer is right, no idea is better, right? But for me, I want to build up what was destroyed in our area, right? And so when you go back home and you look at some of the land that's left back home, like wouldn't that be cool for you to say 20 years from now, I had a part in the revitalization of here, right? Or I had a part in the revitalization of that South Shore Railroad line, right?
Oh,
Of that area.
somebody was sharing those nuggets. What we getting ready to do?
But I'm just saying, so right, so that's where my vision is at, being able to revitalize and motivate people. And so some of the things that we have talked about is having a Juneteenth at the park, right? We've already talked to the council, so there is people coming aboard that's going. This thing is happening, whether people want to or not, right? And so we're going to have some of the same players that were on the team last year who helped us clean up the park, right? And so this thing is moving forward fast. And so think about the progress that we did. We did that in a little over 2 months. This is 6 months in advance now. So we raised over what 20, 21, $2,200 in a little over 2 months. So think of what we can do in 6 months, right? And by revitalize just a little thing, just having a little celebration at the park. It doesn't have to be pie in the sky, nothing like that. Just something very formal. It could be informal, but informative, right? Connecting our people and some cultural stuff, not the other stuff, right? Some and then some informational, like so we can have Tori on a projection screen, and she could be given information about businesses or things about taxes or whatever you think expert from your expertise that you think would be relevant information for our people. And so it's just having those conversations, giving the information out, and if we can charge, we'll pay you. If not, you do it for free. Whatever, we'll work all our details out. But just having something, because I get frustrated when I see our people go to other areas to build up their area. Why not build up your own area?
And
So
to worry, I'm so excited because the doors that we're walking through and the barriers that we have broken down, we'll have to tell you off air, but it is like astonishing. I cannot wait. I'm so excited about it.
So with that being said, if you'd like to donate, that's the Cash App. Also, if you cannot donate, but you want to be a part of it, inbox Candace, or you can inbox myself. We could lay out, because we're going to be having meetings soon with people from the area, and so some of the things we want done, we're going to get them done, whether the city helps or not. We got a team now, and so if you want to be a part of that, it was some people that came out that shocked me. They pulling up with lawnmowers and they bro, what you need, right? And so that's the energy that we need. It's not gonna take one, it's gonna take all of us. And so if you want to be a part of it, just please let us know. We're going to continue to talk about it on our podcast leading up to Juneteenth. Just try to start something new and fresh and cool and innovative. And so going forward, this will be the plan going forward years to come. With that, we digress. You guys have a nice night. Thank you again, Toria, for all your information, time. We love you guys, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right. Have a good night, everyone. Have a good week.